One. It is a Monday morning. It's a tad cooler this morning. According to all of my sources, weather's going to start getting cooler, which would be great. Then I could breathe, maybe. However, today I want to talk about an author who is also one of the closest people in my life. When I first met her, she didn't like me, and I don't know how I felt about her. But that being said, it was a God wink moment. And you all know I believe in God wink moments. I went to worship one day, and she told another member of the church that she didn't like me. And I can understand that. I'm not a very likable person. And then she went home and she said, a voice said, "Hey, you've been praying for a friend, a single friend that you can do things with. I sent you one. Now you got to be friends with her." So the conclusion of that prayer is this: be careful what you ask for. Because while I am not someone who is easy to like or easy to know, once I am your friend, I am your friend for life. Until you do something so erroneous that I cut off that friendship, but I still love you. Peggy is a gift from God, an absolute gift from God. And I truly, truly, truly believe that God has a plan for all of us, and He allowed me to be in her life under protest from her for this reason. My friend Peggy has been writing for years and years and years and years and years and years. However, like most of us who write, she was hesitant to put it out there for the world to see. And me being who I am, said, no, let's do this. It started out with a book called Soulful Inspirations. And I had put this book together, and it was for people to read on a daily basis to gain spiritual insight into their lives through everyday happenings. So Peggy says, I've been writing for a while. And I said, let's put some of your works in this book. And it was sort of like putting your toe in the water for the first time. She said, well, don't put my name on the book. I said, oh, no, ma'am. That's not the way we roll here. You contribute, your name goes on the book. It's that simple. So Peggy put her name on the book. We put the book together and we put it out there. And my former publisher, who died, published it. Well, it was like a floodgate opened. This woman just was so inspired. And when she saw that book in print, when she saw her name on that cover, and when she saw her words on a printed page, I cannot tell you what it did for her. We tell people here at Midnight Publishing that we're dream makers. We're dream makers because God has given me the ability to help people make their dreams come true. All of this is to glorify God. So she asked me, I have more I want to compile. I said, compile them. We'll get them done. She said, I don't have a publisher. You let me worry about that. You do you, honey. You do what you do well. And writing for women, for spiritual inspiration, is what she does well. So she wrote, and we started putting out her books. And again, I sent them to my former publisher. Andrea Rhodes, you're not with us anymore, but I owe you so much. Because you gave Peggy the inspiration to do what she does so well. Peggy has several books out, including Soulful Inspiration. She has A Closer Walk, A View from the Pew, Food for Thought, Encouraging Words, and another one that I can't remember because I'm old. But they're all on Amazon under her name. They're all in all the formats except for a couple that were, The Good, Bad, the Ugly. That was the last one that we published. There are a couple that are not long enough to go into hardback, but they're all in Audible, they're all in Kindle, and they're all in paperback, and some of them are in hardback. What I encourage you to do is, okay, so you're not a spiritual person. We don't care. But you know somebody that is. You know somebody that's very spiritual, and maybe you know somebody that's even struggling, or maybe you're even struggling in your life. You don't have to be a spiritual person to read Peggy's books. They're not rammed down your throat Bible verses. They're stories. She is a great storyteller. They are encouraging, they are uplifting, and they show a sign of humanism in people in the Bible that sometimes we just overlook. The Old Testament is written for a reason. We no longer live by it. But there is history there. And the history is to teach us things. There's stories about everyday people doing everyday things. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not so successful. But Peggy's books take these stories of these individuals and she weaves a common day lesson. I encourage churches everywhere, especially ladies' Bible classes, to purchase these books to use as teaching tools. I encourage women everywhere to buy these books and give them to their daughters, to their nieces, to their granddaughters. You're not too young to start learning about how to be calm within yourself. Okay? If you don't believe in a higher power, that's fine. But you know somebody that does. They are not denominational based. They are faith based. They are spiritual based. They are stories to encourage, to uplift, to help women in particular and people in general to know that we are all flawed, that we all make decisions that are not necessarily good decisions, that we have to live with those decisions, and the outcome is not always what we want. For those who live by faith, they are stories that will encourage you to continue to live by faith. People say life is hard. No, life is just life. It's how we choose to deal with it determines whether it's hard or not. Peggy's books show people how life is just life and how flawed human beings dealt with life on a daily basis. There are stories of wars, there are stories of disasters, there are stories of loss, there are stories of encouragement, but there are stories of life. Peggy is now 85 years old. Peggy has had brain bleeds, cancer, different ailments, But Peggy is still writing. Peggy is still working as the church secretary. Peggy is an amazing human being who I am honored, proud, and humbled to call my bestest sister. Peggy is the epitome of someone who is faithful, who lives by her faith, who teaches through her faith by her everyday life. Peggy has started working on a book that we have talked about for a while. And what she is doing is she's going back and compiling some of her old stories into a book that is a 365-day devotional. This is a book that can be used every year as a daily devotional. There are no dates. There's just days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This book is going to be so exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on it. So you can reach Peggy through Midway Church of Christ. She keeps books on hand. She will gladly sell you one, give you one, sign it. You can order her books also on Amazon. Please support this beautiful sister. Order her books. Understand that her love for God, she wears proudly. She will tell you God is her beacon. God is her navigator. God is her crutch, because she leans on him for everything. It takes someone who is strong in their faith to openly talk about something that many of us in general hide under a bushel. But not Peggy. Peggy is not only walks the walk, she talks that talk. When I first met Peggy, she used to think that my bark was worse than my bite. She found out different, because there was an occasion where I had to defend her, and I defended her very harshly. The woman that I had defended her to changed her attitude real fast. So now Peggy calls me her F5 tornado, which, for those of you in the weather business, understand that's the finger of God. Peggy is an amazing human being. So if Peggy can start being published at 80 years old and continue to write and be published with all the things that have gone on in her life, for those of you who are saying, I should, I could, I need to, however, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have the other. We don't charge here at Midnight Publishing. We do not. Because we're dream makers. We want to see you to succeed. Succeeding is not selling $1 million in books. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not the yardstick of success. The yardstick of success is making your dream real. Peggy allowed us to make her dream real. Go to Amazon, look up Peggy Engeler, purchase her books, and be inspired. Until tomorrow, have the day that you deserve.